Hey, hello, everybody, and welcome to Pink Pixels. I'm Rebecca Dixon from the Gamehers, and I am so thrilled to be here. This is the season finale of season 3 of Pink Pixels, and we've been spending this season interviewing and chatting with and featuring the Gamers Awards winners. So we have a phenomenal group of winners here today that I cannot wait for you to meet. For those of you who don't know, Pink Pixels is our weekly stream. We've been streaming ever since the awards this year. We'll go on a short break and then we will come back with season 4 in January. Maybe may have a few special features in between. But for the Gamehers, as you probably know if you're here, we are a community where you can come and connect with other gamers, learn about gaming, win prizes, learn about education in gaming, lots of different topics. And you're going to hear from the guests today who represent a lot of different corners of this industry. I can't wait for you to hear from them. So, over the course of the summer, we've talked to lots of different awards categories, advocates for representation, trailblazers in gaming, content creators, cosplay, and today we have a lot of those category winners here with us. So without further ado, I want to introduce our guests. We have Siobhan Yu, Arella Soul, Tiny Valkyr, Ashley Elizabeth, and Christina Drake. So thank you so much. I'm so glad that you're all here. Welcome. And with that, what I think I'd like to do is dive in a little deeper. So, Shavana, I'd love to start with you. You have an incredible resume, an incredible path. Just even without going, diving too deep in it, just from like saying the things that you do. You're the co-founder and co-chair of API in Gaming, which is an initiative supported by the IGDA. You've served as a judge for the BAFTA Young Game Designers, the Games for Change Student Challenge, the founding designer on Meta's Horizons World. And I would just love to hear like what how did you arrive here today? What was your path like? And you're such a sort of a pillar and an example for so many people in our community. And I'd love to hear a little bit about that.
Yeah, I think it was pretty non-traditional. Like, I was a nerd growing up, like, grew up with a controller in my hands since I was like 3 on like the N64 because I had older siblings. But I think even though I liked games a lot and I was like art adjacent, I didn't necessarily have the confidence to like apply to an art school and do all that. And like, um, my family wanted me to get like a traditional bachelor's, so I studied architecture, but I was always like interested in games and I got into user experience design. And so it was kind of a roundabout way, like because I was interested in architecture, I got interested in virtual reality and designing for spatial experiences, and that's pretty like video game adjacent. I'm looking for like uh I think the next career path would be more in games UX. And so while I was at my current day job, I was looking at what I could do for my community and like how I can find stuff to do outside of work that's both games related. So like last year, we started API in gaming. I noticed the IGDA didn't have that special interest group. And yeah, from there, like it's been a lot of fun. Even though we're all just volunteers, like we've been running game jams and like resume reviews. We had like a meetup at GDC, so it's really cool seeing all the internet people in real life all of a sudden. And we have a lot more planned for next month is Filipino American Heritage Month, so we're having a game jam for that and like lots of events to look forward to.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing. I think one thing that stands out to me about your background is you have your day job and then you're sort of looking around to see what else you can do to make an impact, and certainly such a meaningful set of accomplishments that you have in initiatives. And that's a theme that we've seen a lot across this summer is in terms of like what could people who are viewing this take away from your experience. And I think it's sometimes you think if something hasn't been done, maybe there's a reason. But often that reason, from what I'm learning, is just that nobody has done it, right? And so you looked at the IGDA and saw that they didn't have that special interest group, and you created it. So just congratulations. You have done so much, and I can't wait to follow your journey and chat more with you today.
Thank
Um,
you.
yeah, for sure. Okay, I'd love to turn it to Christina next. Christina, I have to tell you, the first time that you came on my personal radar was, I believe, through a LinkedIn post, and immediately, your entire, what you were posting about is being the founder of Moms in Gaming, but I think it might have been a post that you posted doing research for the launch of that and doing a survey. Anyway, I'm a mom. I'm a mom. I've got a younger son, but I've got two teenage daughters. I'm a big community builder and actually had a community for parents before the gamers, and so it's just immediately. I'm actually super excited to hear a little bit about your path, even though I know some of it from watching it, but clearly,
Yeah.
it's just something that I identify with. So first of all, you want to say congratulations on the award. I'm really happy that just as a reminder for anybody who may not know this who's watching, the Gamers Awards are community nominated and community voted, and so all of these winners here were lifted up to this position through all of their hard work, but then also people recognizing that hard work. And so it's just a really meaningful thing. So welcome, and I'd love to hear, very similar to Siobhan, like what brought you here. I might have a little bit of a feeling, but it'd be great to know kind of the path and just sharing a little bit about your experience.
Yeah, so I was someone who, like Siobhan, had been interested in games since I was little. My mom bought my first Sega from a neighbor when I was 6, and that was my first console, was a Sega Genesis. I played with my brother. My mom was a single mom at the time, so for her to buy us a console, it was like a pretty big deal. And the only reason she bought it was because the neighbor was like, "Hey, I can't make my rent. I'm selling my stuff." And mom's like, "Yeah, I'll help you by buying this $20 Sega Genesis console." So she kind of instilled in me a sense of passion and a sense of like compassion for others. That was something that was kind of prolific throughout our lives. And that kind of transcended when I started working. So I got into my first kind of jobs were all in recruiting. I'm a recruiter by day. So I work in recruiting and talent operations and HR. And so I had done that for a while. And my, at the time, boyfriend, who later became my husband, was like, "You should do this for games." And I was like, "No, no, no. You work in games. Games are volatile. I don't want to get laid off. I don't want to go through that. I'll just stay where it's safe, in education." And eventually, I had taken on a couple of small contracts with some indie studios. That led me to some contracts with some bigger studios and Apple Arcade and Disney for some of their IP. And so I kind of started this, and then I was working and I got pregnant with my son. Um, and that was probably the worst employer to prospective mother dynamic that I think I could have imagined. I didn't have any real support. I didn't really have a lot of benefits. I didn't have any maternity leave. And I've said this in other talks. I actually remember being in labor and like working on my laptop from my hospital bed, and just being so stressed out that if I didn't get the work done, I couldn't take the time off after I had my baby, so I might as well do it now, right? Because I only had a week of time to use.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
I had 1 week, and it was my like PTO that I was using, and so I wanted to make sure that I did have the time that I wanted, and I wanted to maximize that time. So that meant working from my hospital bed, and that's what I did. And then eventually I got my job at Naughty Dog, and when I started working at Naughty Dog for a major AAA developer, I did have a lot more benefits, and they were a lot more stable. And I got pregnant with my daughter. And I was already dealing with one 18-month-old. I had two under two for a while. And thankfully, again, I was much better taken care of. I had plenty of maternity leave. I had plenty of support. But I also had this internal conflict of, progressing up the career ladder, and really asking myself, how do I do both? How do I become a very present two under two mom who's giving them the most development that I can, while also working in a volatile market where I may or may not get laid off? Spoiler alert, I did. And how do I do this all while being a female in a traditionally male dominated game space? Like, what does that look like? And I didn't really have a good resource to go to find that. And so I started asking around, to people. And the more and more I talked, like, well, I'm a mom, but I don't tell people I'm a mom, or I'm a mom, but I mostly keep that to myself, and I'm just, this CEO or this position at this company. And I said, well, why are we hiding that fact? And the more and more I sought out community, like Siobhan, the more I realized like we needed one. And just like Siobhan, I built it myself. We started with a Discord group, and we kicked that off on Mother's Day right after I got laid off. So we got laid off at Naughty Dog, faced those layoffs, and then kicked Moms in Gaming off in May. I got laid off in March, and we kicked Moms in Gaming off in May. And I was surprised. I mean, the number of people who were sharing it, were interested. I had a group in Romania reach out, and they're like, "Can we start an Eastern European chapter?" And I was like, "I don't even know if we're going to start chapters, but sure, we could have a subgroup." And we kind of divided by region, divided and conquered. So, yeah, I think it does come from a need of, if it doesn't exist, build it yourself. And I think that there is a lot of questions around how do we support well-rounded employees from not only a talent and HR perspective, but from a more interpersonal perspective. And how do we model the types of behaviors that we want for future generations? And all those kind of form the pillars of Moms and Gaming.
I love that. And thank you so much for all, all that you do. It, like I said at the beginning, it resonates a lot with me personally. I also, you touched on something that I think is so important, which is there are the big, foundational aspects of needing to support not just mothers, but, all different sort of groups of people. But to use mothers as an example, since you've created Moms in Gaming, things like maternity leave, and I mean, that's an important, big foundational one, but I also love that you brought up modeling behavior. And so I'll use the example that I'm so thrilled that you're joining us here, and also thrilled that you are leaving early because you have to pick up your kids. I think, and so,
Yeah,
I feel like there's a lot of opportunity to do that in the workspace. And I certainly do that. I mean, for one thing, I do it by necessity, right? Like I,
right.
I sometimes have to pick up my kids. And so
Yeah,
if that's actually what's happening, what to quote what you said, then why are we not saying that's what's happening?
right,
Because a
right.
lot of people are mothers, and a lot of people have to pick up their kids. And if there's a way that you can, it's not to say that you're not doing the work that needs to get done, but
Right.
maybe you're not getting the work that needs to be done for that whatever amount of time is that you pick up your kids. And so it's just
Yeah.
modeling that behavior, I think, is a really important aspect. So I'm glad you brought it up.
Yeah, yeah, of course. I mean, we see that in work all the time, right? I mean, there are people who say, like, "Oh, I have a doctor's appointment," or "I have to take my cat to the vet," or whatever it is, right? And the fact that we shy away from that as parents tells me there's something like foundationally not right with our structure. Most of us should be should be like we work so that we have money to support the lives that we want, right? We have to pay our bills and have houses and do the things we want in life. We should not be living to work. And so I'm trying to change that, with leadership from the top down through Moms in Gaming has been a big initiative of ours. And bringing some of these ideas and again, kind of some of that normalcy to our day-to-day work. So
Yeah, I appreciate that, and I'm excited to be more directly connected with both of you so far. So, okay,
thank
next
you.
up we have Ash. Ash, welcome. Thank
Hello.
you so much for being here. I'm really excited for you to share not only your personal story that led to you winning a Gamers Award, but I also, I think this has come up a few times when you've been on a couple of different gamers conversations, but I love to hear kind of the story of your path with the gamers, because it's a fun one. And congratulations on your award. Thrilled that you're here, and so what brought you here, and what's your path been, and what does winning a gamers award mean to you?
Okay, so first, I didn't know what the Gamers was last year. I got nominated and I was floored to know that somebody nominated me for a cosplayer award. And I had always struggled in the beginning of my career to find out if I was even a cosplayer or just a makeup artist. But then I figured once I started streaming and marrying my love with makeup and gaming and building these characters, I'm like, I am a cosplayer then. Like I'm putting some outfits together. If I don't have the outfits, I'm painting it on my body. Like it's just been like a really interesting little journey that I've been going on, and to be recognized for something like that a year ago was absolutely incredible. And knowing that the gamers was a space for women and femme identifying in this space to really champion them and cheer them on, like it was said, it's a very male dominated space, and it's always been so hard to be able to have like that voice for us. So I needed to be at the gamers in person last year. I didn't care what it was going to take. I was going to do it. And knowing that it was like a nice little red carpet event and all of that, I wanted to bring my mom with me. I'm like super close with her and I love her so much. So for my first red carpet, I wanted to take her with me. And it was very last minute. Flights were so expensive, and my community championed and got some money together for me to actually attend. And we couldn't really afford a flight because it was last minute. So we took a 30-hour bus ride to the gamers. And it was a wild little ride. 30 hours there, 30 hours back to Canada. But it was one of the most surreal experiences of my life. I've made some longtime friends, which is incredible. I might even be seeing a few of them in the next couple of weeks. And I am just so forever grateful for that, because I got to meet everyone. Everyone was like a winner. If you didn't win your award, you were still there and celebrating. And it was just one of those moments that I will cherish forever. So I was nominated last year, but this year, my community rallied together to ensure that I was going to make it on top after last year. So they really pushed hard for me, and to be able to win is an honor to me, because it is community voted, and to know how much they believed in me is just, it inspires me every single day, and wanting to continue to do these looks for them and building the community that we have, and now bringing the gamers into a part of it is just incredible. And yeah, I'm very grateful. It's an award that like makes me want to cry every time I would think about it, because it's just so touching to know that it is community based.
Well, thank you for sharing that whole story. And the reason that I asked is because what I want to share from the gamer side, your story specifically is, it's sort of just like an example of why we exist, and it means a lot to us. And I think that we're grateful as a community and as an organization, and me personally, that for those who don't know, last year we had an in-person a live award ceremony. This year we focused a lot on figuring out how to honor more people, and we did it all virtually. So, both have benefits, and we always are looking for ways to do more in-person things. And so I look forward to having in-person events again soon, because there is something special about that for sure. And when we heard, because you talked about it, you had taken a 30-hour bus ride there and back. It was pretty incredible. And then for you to go from that nomination to winning year after year. And then also you won the prize while you were there. The chair. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I kind of went a little viral.
yeah.
I think because last year I feel like I was so excited and so happy, and I think I was doing my mods were doing a watch party in the Discord, and just seeing the love and support from my community, seeing all their messages in there, I was like already like in tears, and just seeing how much they still loved and supported me regardless of the outcome.
Yeah.
And so I just remember I was feeling under my chair, because there was like a prize going around that if you had a pink envelope under there, you won a prize. I didn't know what it was because I didn't hear it. And all it says was like, congratulations, bestie. And I was like, did I win a bestie award? Like, what did I get? And then after I started freaking out, and I'm like, oh my God. And like there's pictures of me and like videos of me, and I'm like, do you want me to come up on stage? And the host was like, no, it's okay, because you want a chair. And my mom's like, sit down, you want a chair. And I looked at it finally, I'm like, oh, it's a chair. I'm like, oh my God, I'm crying from a chair. And then it ended up becoming like something so silly.
It's one of those moments you can't script. You have great content from it. I'm gonna see if we can clip some of this Pink Pixels episode and put in the content of you winning the chair, because for those of you who haven't seen it, I mean, Ash was shocked, and then we heard the story about she came 30 hours, and it was really special. So I love sharing things like that, because sometimes, and I'm not sure if any of you feel this, but sometimes, even though all of us, and especially, tonight we're talking about the six of you, we're all doing important work. And that being said, sometimes you get sort of in the grind of like the emails that you have to return, and the spreadsheets leading up to the awards. It was like the tickets and the getting in and the logistics. And then when you have a moment to have that, and then it did go viral, it was just really special. So thank you for sharing it. Congratulations.
Yeah, and I mean, I got to work with them after that, and like everything just started snowballing after that little viral moment too. So it
was a fun one for sure.
But I'm very grateful, so thank you.
Yeah, thank you, and welcome to Pink Pixels. Next, I am excited to chat with Arella. So Arella is one of our Rising Star Award winners. And Arella, I love that in your bio for your nomination, when you were filling it out, you said that you just started streaming in 2022, and that at first it was an outlet and a passion, and then figuring out how you could make it more something that you spent more time on and created your community. So just congratulations and thanks for being here, and would really love to hear about your path.
Yes. First of all, thank you for having me. It's actually kind of funny because it'll be my third year streaming anniversary in a couple of days. So this is kind of like perfect in a way of like celebrating that. It was, yeah, thank you so much. So it started as a hobby, as one does, and it just kind of became, as streamers know, it became a community, and it's been amazing. I've been able to not only have a bunch of fun, a bunch of laughter, um, I've been able to meet amazing people, fellow streamers, such as like things like this and organizations like gamehers. And I've been able to meet a bunch of gamehers because of this. I also was not aware of the gamers until I was nominated by someone in my amazing community, and I just kind of I was definitely very surprised because it was just uh yeah, it was just I mean I didn't have any words, and not only that, but being able to win an award as well, like the first time being nominated for this, it was really amazing. And everyone's been so sweet so far, and has been um I've been learning a lot.
Well, I'm so glad to hear that. I mean, one of the reasons that we have awards like the Rising Stars, because there are, I mean, this has already been touched on a little bit. Siobhan mentioned it, Christina. We're in a male-dominated field. There are a lot of ways to lift each other up, and there are a lot of opportunities that exist, and a lot of opportunities that are still being developed now. But I think one thing that we always try to do at the Gamehers, and I actually see all of you doing it too, is figuring out how we can create community for each other and for people who need it, and then lift people up. And so really thrilled that you were nominated, that you won, that you're joining Pink Pixels, and looking forward to chatting more over the course of the next half hour or so. And okay, Tiny, you bring us home. Congratulations on your award. Thrilled that you're here. I love you. You were nominated for a few awards, and so there are a lot of different things about your bio and your winners. The things that you do to make you have won an award. But I love the fact that you give a lot to charity and raise a lot of money for charity along with your community. I think that's an incredible thing to spend time on, and you've had some really big successes around that. So I'd love to hear more about that, and also your overall path that brought you here today.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me. I'm I have kind of an interesting journey. So similar to everyone else, gaming's always been like a really big part of my life. Growing up, I had a Harlem Globetrotters pinball and a Pac-Man like stand-up Bally arcade machines. So that's kind of where my love of gaming started. And then I moved into consoles and like PC gaming, of course. And I'd been doing community management and community leadership in other industries and avenues. And some of my friends were kind of like, hey, you're already like hosting Jackbox all the time and you're already doing this stuff. Like, why don't you, like, you should try streaming. That would be cool. And they told me about VTubing and they were like, yeah, I think this would be a really good, like, creative outlet and a good fit for you. And so this is my 5th year streaming. Um, and when I started, like, I didn't know anything. I knew zero about OBS, streaming, Twitch. Like, I really knew almost nothing. And I didn't have any disposable income. I'm a single mom of 2 tiny humans, so similar to a lot of other moms in the chat. I'm sure they probably know. I was like, I just want to kind of have this outlet, but I also don't want to put, too much into it until I see where it goes. So something that's really important to me is like, I always say like I'm tiny, but my personality makes up for it. Um, I think like I don't have a huge CCV. I'm not, I kind of maybe I'm like the underdog in some things, and I think that the game hers is so so important for that reason. Similar to some of the other stories, I was nominated last year. I think I was nominated for I think 2 or 3 awards, and we didn't come away with one, and it kind of became a joke. It was the second time I was nominated for like a set of an awards, and then this year when it came up. I was like absolutely floored. I was nominated for 5 awards. I was like, this is incredible and super humbling. And then it kind of became a joke, like the gang tries to win an award, and people made memes out of it, and it was kind of, like a whole thing. And you mentioned like charity. Charity is something that I fell into. So through my streaming journey, I met other streamers and saw other streamers that were able to raise like an incredible amount of money. Cheebs and Poopwitch, PWX, some really amazing streams. Saw some things and I was like, wow, like, I've raised a little bit of money. I'd done a couple of charity tournaments and I think I'd raised like around like $1,000 at that time. And this
Yeah.
was a couple years ago. And after I saw that like we could really make a difference with just even a small amount of people, I made it a mission to do 2 charity streams a year. And so far we've done 3 for the last 3 years. We've done 2 so far this year. And in 4 years, we've raised $8,900 for charity. So I think that it's a testament to like you don't have to be maybe the biggest streamer or have like the you know biggest budget or the fanciest things. Like it really can be about community. It can be about personality, and if you work hard and you put the time into it, like you'll see that success still.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's why I wanted to feature that, because you're as you mentioned, you self-describe as you may be tiny, but your personality makes up for it. But that's not a tiny amount of money. I mean, that is an incredible amount to raise, and obviously shows that your community and the extension of your community who's helping you raise is really impacted by what you're doing. And it's a really a good example, I think, of how we can all have an impact, and it's so wonderful to be hearing about the impact that all of you have had. So thank you, and congratulations on the awards. So now it's going to be less just one asking one-off questions. We'll get into some more chatting, but before we do that, I do want to share our for anybody who's watching or in the chat. We have an incredible partner in Zenni Eyewear, and Zenni is giving away a $50 gift card today. So we're going to be rolling the giveaway in just a moment. So just enter something in the chat if you would like to be entered in the Zenni giveaway. And thank you to our wonderful partners at Zenni, because they have been one of our most long-term partners at the gamehers, and we really appreciate that. So that's that. And okay, so all 6 of you, or actually is it 5 of you and I make 6, have a lot of variety of different experiences and different things that brought you here today. But one very common theme that I heard is, you're doing one thing and then you start another thing on the side, or, you noticed a gap, or you started something as a hobby and then made it a career. And so what that says to me is like, a couple of you are moms, like, we all have all these different pieces of our lives, but at the same time, there are still only 24 hours in each day. So what I'd love to discuss, because I think this is something really impactful to share with our broader community, to hear, how did you get here, while lifting up your communities, doing all the things that you've accomplished without burning out yourself. And anybody can jump in on that one, but just whether it's actual tactics or experiences around that, I think that would be super interesting to chat about.
I have a couple of answers for this. So, people ask me this a lot. I'm involved in quite a few things. If anyone recognizes me, yes, from LinkedIn. So in addition to being a mom of two kids, working full time, running Moms in Gaming, I also am a LinkedIn content creator, which means I write long form content that usually has some actionable takeaway on LinkedIn. And then I do other things, right? Like, and you're right, there's only 24 hours a day. So people ask me all the time, like, how do you do all the things? Number one, you have to have some kind of support system. There are times that I could not get what I need to get done if I didn't have a partner to help me out, family, friends, right? There needs to be some kind of support system. You genuinely cannot do everything on your own. Two, I time block and multitask like nobody's business. I would not survive without a calendar. I time block every single thing I possibly can, and I stay very rigidly to those time blocks. So I know today I'm going to write my content on these hot topics, and this is going to be the next hour of my time. I will put things in, I'll put a load of laundry in, I'll make sure that my kids are eating dinner, and then as they're watching a movie or something, like, I will be writing content. So multitasking, time blocking, and community are the three takeaways I would say keep me sane and ensure that I can effectively body double myself to get everything I need to get done in a 24-hour period. And then just to keep myself from burning out, I personally go to the gym. That's what I spend on my lunch break. Not everyone wants to spend their lunch break going to the gym. I'm very fortunate. My gym is walkable. So I will oftentimes, I joke at work that whoever gets the 2:30 meeting gets wrecked, Christina, because I'm usually sweaty. I'm like walking in, I'm like drinking my protein shake or eating my snack as I'm sitting down to that 2:30 meeting, because for me, lunch is usually 1 to 2. And that's when I will literally run to the gym, get a 30 to 45-minute workout in, lift the heavy weights I want, feel good, and then come home. So that may not be everyone's takeaway. Some people are a little bit more, maybe they want time to veg out and they can block that in. But for me, the gym is like my escape time and my literal, like, work the aggression out of my lifetime. And that's how I keep myself from burnout.
I love that. I appreciate like the super tactical advice there, and it's yeah, that's great advice. Anybody else have any thoughts?
I think on my end, something that I learned that took a little bit of time to learn was, and it's a little bit less like technical, but like say no. Just say no or reschedule, or, I had to reschedule this event. I had like some circumstances come up. I'm like, I can't put forth the best like sound quality here. Like, reach out, communicate, and don't like put too much on yourself. When I first started, I think I would say yes to everything and I would chase like every opportunity, and you spend a lot of time on like whatever it is, forms or surveys or clips or organizations, or there's just all of these things that you can do.
Yeah.
And similar to what Christina was saying, I do a lot of things, but I have kind of the opposite. I don't have the greatest IRL support system, but I found community within Twitch and within gaming and within like a space like this. I know we all have found that, IRL, URL is kind of one now. So we've found that community, and I think leaning on your community and not being afraid, like I said, cancel, reschedule if you need to avoid burnout. I think that's key.
Yeah, I love that. It reminds me of advice that I've gotten before, which is figure out what you want to say yes to, and then like on a big picture level, and then say no to actually everything else. And I mean, obviously it's not black and white, because there may be some like extra things that go with one of the things you're saying yes to. And I mean, you're all spending your time here on Pink Pixels today, which is something I really appreciate because, you know, you already won the Gamers Award, and hopefully you're finding value in this conversation, and then we'll, you know, the conversation will live on. But it is really true, when you're saying yes to something, you're saying no to doing anything else during that time. So thank you for reminding me of that, that specific advice. What about you, Siobhan? Do you have
Yeah.
any tips and
I
tricks for burnout?
I think to Tiny's point about turning to your community, like I think as like a type A person that tries to plan everything and like make sure everything runs well, I realized that like especially when like the brand isn't around me specifically, it's like a minority group, like giving other people, if you try and do everything, you're taking away opportunities from other people to shine. Like if I tried to do all the graphic design, if I tried to run all the events, like that's taking away like a position that someone else could be doing. And like it's also just more fun with friends. So that's something I definitely had to learn. That delegating is sometimes like better for other people, and that's like the in the interest of the community that I'm trying to build anyways.
I actually love that too. And I think about that a lot at the gamehers. I mean, we have a team and we're a small team, but an incredibly small but mighty. And it's very true that the more that we can, you know, depending on the size of your organization and where you are and what you're doing, but the more that you can specifically figure out who's doing what, then providing opportunities to other people, have any sort of team or community or organization run more smoothly. It opens up opportunities for people to grow. It sometimes feels, you know, I have found in the past, sometimes it feels like, oh, let me just do this, but then it's actually so much better to figure out if, you know, if there's someone who can not only help, but like you said, Siobhan, providing opportunities. So I love that. Thank you. And then Ash and Arella, we don't, everybody doesn't have to weigh in on everything, but I want to certainly not leave you two out. I know that we all probably struggle with burnout at times.
Yeah, no, I guess like for me is like I'm very like transparent with my community. If I am having like a very down week and I can sense that I need to like take time off tonight, like I'll come back, like do a makeup stream, or maybe I'll just reset next week. They're very understanding of knowing that mental health is like a huge thing, and they're very accepting of that. And like another thing is I like naps. I'm a chronic napper. So before I always go on stream, I take a nice 30-minute nap, and then I'm just re-energized to show myself up. So I make
I love
sure
that.
I don't
Yeah.
have kids, so I can go nap. So but yeah, it's just one of my staple rituals before I do.
Well, actually, if I ever get asked directly this question, which I have been asked before, my first answer is prioritizing sleep. That is the best way for me to avoid burnout, because like I have learned that at times when I have not prioritized sleep. And I try to track my sleep and all of that stuff. And, you know, it's like we all have known this forever, right? Like human beings need sleep. But sometimes it just is so hard when you're trying to accomplish all the things that we want to accomplish to actually, you know, go to bed. So I love that naps, for people who can fit a nap into their schedule, or maybe just, you know, trying to figure out getting enough sleep in the day, whatever it looks like for you.
Because anytime I do something, like I organize myself too, like the same way like Christina does, like blocking things out, because I'm like, if I don't do this, I have like a million things open that are half finished. And then I'm like, oh my God, what am I doing? So I close everything down and I get overwhelmed. And then that's when I would go for like the sad nap, because I'm like, I
Yeah.
have too much going on. So once I finally got my like big agenda that's like the size of me, and I got to write everything down, I'm like, all right, this day is for this day is going to be for this day is for that.
Like a
And make sure you get your,
proactive nap.
and a proactive nap, a happy nap.
Arella, I want to give you a chance to answer this also, but also Christina, I know that you're having to hop off, and I'm noticing that it's 20 till, well, it's 20 till 8 where I am. So if you have to go, that is totally cool. Go get your kids. Thanks for being such an amazing inspiration for moms in gaming. And I just really am so happy you won a Gamers Award, and honored to have
Thank
you
you.
here. Yeah.
Thank you for having me. Yes, I do need to go grab them, but thank you so much. Enjoy.
Yeah. Thanks for being here. Okay. So, Arella, anything to add about burnout?
Yeah, so I am very open with my community that I work in mental health. So, that being said, I always, always, always emphasize self-care, whether it's people in my community or someone who just rated in. I always emphasize a post-stream self-care. Whether that's napping, I also love sleeping, making sure that people are eating, because when
Yeah.
you're busy, sometimes you do forget to eat something or snack on something, drinking water, um, just listening to music could be any kind of self-care. But
I
just
love that.
verbally reminding myself and adding it to my calendar because I tend to forget.
Yeah. I think these are all such good tips and tricks. And some things are, I think, more important depending on the kind of person. You know, some of us will resonate with some of them, others with others. So I appreciate that everybody had kind of different advice to give. And I always love this topic because even though maybe I've heard some of it before, it's like there are things that I want to prioritize in terms of avoiding burnout, but I still sometimes forget to prioritize them when I'm very busy. So thank you for all of those great suggestions. I'd love to ask all of you really, what do you think that in our, broader industry, the games industry, and it's a very broad question. What do you see changing in the next year? Or it could be, year or few years. Uh, do you see a lot of shifts? And it could be, specific to sort of inclusivity and opportunities, or just any broader shifts that any of you kind of are seeing out on the horizon.
I, if I can comment on this, I see gaming to be way more accessible to people, whether it's on the computer or whether it's being handheld. I see a lot of communities already like diversifying, which is amazing to see, just like what gamehers stands for. Just the I don't know, there's just been a lot of communities already, and I cannot wait to see way more of that. So,
I love that. I agree with you. And I think that, a lot of um, accessibility has come a long way and also still a long way to go. So I'm excited that's the first thing that you brought up. What about you, Siobhan? Do you have any expectations or predictions that you see kind of in the next couple of years?
I think just like recently, uh, even with APN gaming, like a lot of this started because we weren't seeing like funding towards DEI programs coming from corporate or government anymore. And so like a lot of us were like, okay, we'll just do it ourselves. We don't need to wait for anybody's permission to make what we need happen. Um, and I think like that's really heartening that people still have the enthusiasm and drive to make it happen, even if like things are scary out there.
Yeah, thank you for that. I think that ultimately you remind me of the mission behind why we started the gamehers. And at the end of the day, humans by nature like to be in community. And also, it's easier to strive for something if you see people who you can identify with in whatever way that might be, having some level of success, right? And so it's really great to see somebody who, like you, as an example of somebody with a great deal of success, and hopefully being able to not only create and generate community around what might be your current peers, but thinking of all the younger people who now can have that inspiration. So I totally agree with it. Doesn't really matter always what's happening in the broader world. I mean, it does sometimes, but even if things are not ideal in one way or another, the opportunity to create change can still exists and does exist, and you're an example of that. So thank you. All right, so I would love to. There's one thing we haven't talked about too much, which is, you know, we're all here for honoring you as winners of the Gamers Awards. A lot of the work that we all do and that you do is virtual, but there is an element of, you know, that I see where gamers do like opportunities to get together in person and in real life. Are there events that you all enjoy going to? Do you get together with your community or other people in person? And what do you think the importance of that of in real life events is? I mean, Ash, I know we talked about you traveled 30 hours to come to the Gamers Awards, and such a great you know, a great story. But do you go to other events in real life? I think you said you might be seeing some of your community
I do. Yeah. So actually it's become a tradition now. Specifically it kind of started with my mods, and then it started to expand to community, like longtime community members, where they come down to my city and we go to a fair together, and then we go to Fan Expo. And it's just been growing and growing. And it's been like the past 3 years that we've done this. So it's just really cool. And if there's like certain events that are going on, so for example, there was like an Evil Dead musical that happened, and I got tickets for my mods to come down to go and watch this with me. And just having like community members meet up like all over the world too is just really, really cool. And yeah, it's something that I'll be able to get to do again really soon. And I can't wait, because there's going to be like a couple of faces that I haven't seen yet. And like I've known them forever, but like I haven't seen them yet. So like I'm all giddy, like getting excited for it, because it's remarkable that you can really have these friends. Like they may not be IRL friends that you can just go down the street and meet, but these are forever friends, and you invite them into your personal space, and you have that trust. And just for it to be a tradition and not just on those specific times, like throughout the year, having them come visit, it's remarkable. And I love that.
Yeah, I agree. It's fun to meet people in real life who you've known for like, sometimes it can go, you know, be the situation that you've known someone for quite a while, and then meeting them in real life can be such a fun experience. I think I've found. What about you, Tiny?
So I was thinking about what you said too about like things changing, and I know with like the pandemic there was a lot of, online activity, and we were all, that's what we could do. And so I think the transition to, opening back up into more real life activities was obviously a huge factor in things. I think seeing like Iron Mouse and other VTubers who, have won some awards and really taken a platform. I think we're seeing places where like VTubers can be included IRL, even if they can't maybe be like there in person, which is super cool and nice. Similar
Yeah,
to
I love that.
Ash. Yeah, similar to Ash, I had actually my first meetup this year. We did a little like tiny camp, and people came and visited. The other industry that I'm in, so I'm the community manager for a rock band, Coheed and Cambria. And so there happened to be a Coheed show that weekend. So we all went to a Coheed show, and then we went to Ren Fair and got to meet up and put faces to names. And like Ash said, there's no way really to describe what that's like to know people for so long and have them be like family, like a community that you lean on. Like she said, being transparent and supporting, each other, and then actually getting to meet up and hug or put a face to the name is really something. And I think that that's kind of a testament to what all of this is.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Well, I want to find out what all of you have kind of coming up on the radar, but before we do that, Arella or Siobhan, do either of you have any want to weigh in at all on in real life events, meetups, get-togethers?
Go
Yeah,
ahead, Siobhan.
sure. Um, I think like GDC for sure. It's nice when like if you're in the game dev industry, there's all these like conferences you can center around. And even when like I'm not there, it's cool when it's like, oh, this community built like they're meeting up in Germany for Gamescom. And I'm like, I'm not there, but it's cool that you can find a friend there, and that really like warms my heart. But definitely like in the future, we want to do more in person once we have like critical mass and we know enough people can show up, and like hopefully when we apply for funding and things like that later on. It's a little hard when you're all volunteers, but um, people are also like, we're down to like just get lunch before GDC, and that was really fun and comfy. It's just like a group of 5 or 6 of us like meeting for the first time. So definitely want to do more in-person meetups. We recently had partnered with a nonprofit in Chicago. I'm not in Chicago, I'm in San Francisco currently, but it was a fundraiser to get consoles to kids in hospitals. And it was like all these local game studios that came together to play kickball to fundraise. And I know a lot of my staff were able to meet each other in person for that, and that was super cool.
I love that. And it reminds me when you were talking about applying for funding, it reminds me of something you said earlier about sharing opportunities with other people in your community. And it makes me think that there are probably people who have experience applying for funding who could do that on a volunteer basis as well. But I agree with you. It is, I mean, in person, it's the same reason why we sometimes have in real life events, like we hosted the gamehers awards last year. Then this year we focused virtually, because there's value to both, and sometimes you can have a bigger impact in person, sometimes you can have a bigger impact virtually, but it's nice to have that combination if possible, I think. Arella, what about you?
Yeah, so I was actually lucky enough to be able to meet some streamers over the summer, which was super, super fun. And I'm a huge nerd, so I go to anime conventions all the time, which was where I was able to meet them and just being able to see. Um, I actually met some of their community members as well, which was really fun. Um, but yeah, it's just really, really cool and almost surreal, if anything, to see all of that.
I agree. I always find that when I do have an opportunity to attend an in-person event and meet people who I may not have met yet, but have worked with for a long time, I am totally re-energized to go back and then do the thing that I'm doing. It's like an energy burst, and reminds me of the mission. And so that's what I find of most value. But I want to just thank all of you so much for being here tonight. I genuinely appreciate it. We are on like I said, this is the season finale of season 3 of Pink Pixels. It's been an incredible opportunity to honor all the Gamers Awards winners this year, and particularly tonight, to honor you. So before we sign off, I want to just quickly, like 30 seconds each, what's coming up for you? What's on your radar? Where can we find you? Are you going to any events? Do you have any, things coming up in your community? How can the gamers support you? How can our community support you? So I'll call you out and we'll go around. Tiny, you want to go first?
Sure. So you can find me on Twitch. I'm live Monday through Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern. That's where you can find me a lot. And if I'm not there, I'm definitely in Discord. I'm really looking forward to, I got some autumn and September stuff up, but I'm looking forward to October. It's my favorite season. Gonna be playing a lot of DBD, and I'm not one for scary games, so it should be a really good time. So you can find me there on Twitch or in Discord.
Awesome. Well, we look forward to it. Siobhan, what about you?
Yeah, next month is Filipino American Heritage Month. So we've got Game Jam coming up. That'll be super fun. And you don't have to be Filipino to join the Game Jam. It's just the theming there. We have like a couple other events like movie nights. To find out more about that, that would be on Discord. But to get links to socials and stuff, that's just AAPI and gaming at .com. And then if you want to like partner on anything, feel free to message me on LinkedIn, just my full name. But yeah, thanks.
Awesome. Thank you. And Arella?
Yeah, so you can find me on Twitch and TikTok. Honestly, just look up my name, Marilla Soul. You can find me anywhere and everywhere. I have upcoming in October. I want to talk about the Day of the Dead because I am Mexican, so that's kind of what we talk about. I also have like Spanish only streams, so if you want to learn Spanish, feel free to be there. Also, happy AAPI Heritage Month. So that's really cool.
Awesome. Thank you, Arella. And Ash.
You can find me pretty much on all social media, Instagram, Twitch, YouTube, Blue Sky Threads, all of that, Ash vs Evil Bread. I'm also, I stream Wednesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays now at 8 p.m. Eastern on Twitch. And Monday nights, I'm now a new host on the Late Night Legends podcast. So we get to talk about spooky stuff every Monday, which is really exciting. And October is a really big time for me because I cosplay for every single stream during that month. So typically it would be up to 18 looks, but I did cut down my stream schedule. So it's going to be like maybe 11 to 13 new looks. So I cosplay during that month, and that's pretty much like a really big time for us. And I'm hoping by the holiday season, when it is my stream anniversary, I want to do a charity stream for Sick Kids Hospital, because I did that for my first celebration charity stream. So I would like to do that again to celebrate my 6 years of streaming in December. So yeah.
That's amazing. Well, thanks to all of you so much. We have a lot of fun stuff coming up at the Gamehers. We just launched our education program. So if you touch education at all, whether you're a student or a parent or work in the intersection of education and gaming, you can check out tgh.app. We also, if you can believe it, are going to actually be kicking off the 2026 Gamers Awards nominations later this fall. So we'll have more featuring of all of you before then, but we are in the lead up mode to that. PinkPixels, like I mentioned, this is the finale, but we'll be back in January. We've also got some tournaments coming up, and just really thrilled to have all of you as such a part of our community. Look forward to watching your journeys working together, and thanks for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you so much.
And congratulations, everyone.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
likewise.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Thanks all. Bye-bye.